The quantum communication array hummed with an almost imperceptible vibration, its delicate sensors picking up frequencies that no standard terrestrial equipment could detect. Dr. Emily Rodriguez adjusted her noise-canceling headphones, her dark eyes fixed on the cascading lines of data streaming across multiple holographic displays. She wasn't supposed to be here. Not technically. The underground research facility beneath the New Mexico desert was a classified joint operation between DARPA, NASA, and an international consortium of scientific agencies. Most of her colleagues believed she was chasing ghosts, hunting for extraterrestrial signals that might never come. But Emily knew differently. Her fingers danced across the haptic interface, filtering out atmospheric noise, solar interference, and the countless human-generated signals that cluttered the electromagnetic spectrum. Something had been different for months now. Subtle shifts in long-range quantum communication bands, microscopic anomalies that would escape even the most advanced AI pattern recognition systems. "Come on," she muttered, rotating a complex mathematical filter that she'd developed after years of studying quantum communication theories. "Show yourself." Across the facility, Jack Thompson watched her from the security monitoring station. A decade removed from active Navy SEAL operations, he'd transitioned into high-level cybersecurity and strategic defense consulting. Something about Dr. Rodriguez's intensity had caught his attention months ago. Where others saw an obsessive researcher chasing improbable theories, he recognized the same pattern recognition skills that had kept him alive during multiple covert operations. The first signal came at 3:47 Greenwich Mean Time. It wasn't a burst of energy or a classic radio wave. Instead, it was a quantum entanglement signature so precise, so mathematically elegant that it could only be artificial, and definitely not human. Emily's breath caught in her throat. Years of scientific skepticism battled with the raw excitement of potential discovery. Her fingers moved with practiced speed, isolating the signal, running it through a series of complex decryption algorithms she'd spent a decade developing. "Jack," she called out, her voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through her veins. "I need you to verify something." Thompson was already moving, years of military training keeping his movements deliberate and controlled. He studied the data streams, his cybersecurity background giving him a unique perspective on communication patterns. "This isn't a random signal," he said quietly. "This is a communication protocol. Structured. Deliberate." Meanwhile, 237,000 miles above the Earth, the first wave of Zenari reconnaissance vessels emerged from quantum slit space. To human sensors, they would appear as nothing more than a momentary gravitational anomaly, if detected at all. Admiral Krelak studied the holographic representation of Earth, his multifaceted compound eyes analyzing geographical, technological, and sociological data streams. The Zenari had conquered 47 distinct planetary systems. Each conquest followed a precise mathematical model of technological and societal assessment. Earth looked unremarkable. Fractured global political systems, inefficient energy distribution, primitive quantum computing capabilities, localized conflicts that suggested fundamental societal instability. Every predictive model suggested a swift, almost merciful subjugation would take no more than 72 standard chronological units. What the Zenari didn't understand, what they could never comprehend, was the fundamental unpredictability of human potential. In the underground facility, Emily Rodriguez continued her meticulous analysis. Each decoded fragment revealed more about the source of the signal, complex mathematical structures, communication protocols that seemed to exist in multiple quantum states simultaneously. "This isn't just a signal," she whispered to Jack. "This is a message." Above Earth, the first Zenari reconnaissance drones began their initial planetary mapping sequences. Quantum scanners probed atmospheric compositions, technological infrastructure, and population density centers. Each scan would be transmitted back to the Confederation's Central Strategic Analysis Hub. They were looking, but they were not seeing. Beneath the New Mexico desert, Dr. Emily Rodriguez and Jack Thompson had just become the first humans to detect an impending invasion that would fundamentally change the course of human history. The first battle would be fought not with weapons, but with understanding. The global internet was more than just a communication network. It was a living, breathing organism, a neural network that stretched across continents, through undersea cables, satellite links, and quantum relays. And right now, it was whispering secrets. Michael Chen sat in a converted shipping container tucked away in a remote research facility outside Seattle. Surrounded by a labyrinth of custom-built servers and quantum processors, he was hunting for patterns that didn't exist, at least not according to conventional scientific understanding. His team was an unlikely collection of brilliant minds. Rosa Hernandez, a former CIA cryptanalyst, turned quantum computing expert. And Kazmi, a telecommunications engineer who had designed communication systems for the most remote regions of the planet. Yuki Tanaka, a software architect who could find signal in the most profound noise. "Something's different," Rosa muttered, her fingers dancing across multiple holographic displays. Lines of code shifted and morphed, revealing subtle anomalies that would escape even the most advanced AI pattern recognition systems. Across the world, similar scenes were playing out. In a converted warehouse in Mumbai, a collective of independent researchers and former military technologists had been tracking unusual electromagnetic signatures. Led by Priya Sharma, a brilliant systems engineer who had once designed communication networks for India's space program, the team was piecing together a global puzzle. Their method was unconventional. They didn't rely on traditional institutional resources. Instead, they leveraged a global network of hackers, researchers, independent scientists, and technology enthusiasts. Open-source intelligence gathering that transcended national boundaries. Jack Thompson's network was crucial to this effort. His contacts spread across military, intelligence, and technology sectors worldwide. Former Special Forces operators, cybersecurity experts, satellite communication specialists, all quietly sharing information through encrypted channels that existed just beyond the reach of standard monitoring systems. The alien reconnaissance was meticulous but fundamentally flawed. They saw human technology as a series of disconnected systems. What they failed to understand was the human capacity for rapid, collective adaptation. In Berlin, a group of quantum physics researchers discovered unexpected quantum entanglement signatures in their experimental data. In Cape Town, a team of radio astronomers detected microfluctuations in long-range communication bands that defied traditional explanation. In Buenos Aires, a network of independent computer scientists began tracking unusual packet transmission patterns that seemed to exist in multiple states simultaneously. They didn't know they were preparing for an invasion. Not exactly, but something was coming, and humanity was instinctively mobilizing. Michael Chen's team had developed a unique algorithm. It wasn't just about detecting signals. It was about understanding the fundamental communication structure behind those signals. Where traditional analysis would see random noise, their system saw potential language, potential intent. "Look at this," An said, pulling up a complex holographic representation of the quantum communication anomalies. "These aren't random fluctuations. This is a communication protocol." Yuki leaned in, her augmented reality glasses parsing the data in real time. "It's like a conversation, but not in any language we've ever seen." The global network was already responding. Universities redirected research funds. Military communication systems began subtle reconfigurations. Technology companies accelerated development of quantum-resistant communication technologies. No central authority coordinated this response. It emerged organically, like an immune system detecting a potential threat. In the New Mexico underground facility, Emily Rodriguez continued her analysis. Her communication with Jack Thompson had expanded into a global network of researchers, each sharing fragments of data, building a comprehensive understanding of the emerging threat. They were preparing, not out of fear, but out of an fundamental human characteristic that no alien civilization had ever truly understood: curiosity, adaptability, the ability to transform potential threat into opportunity. The first wave of alien reconnaissance would see a planet of disconnected systems, of apparent technological primitiveness. They would be wrong. Humanity was already changing, already preparing. The most dangerous weapon was not a gun or a quantum disruptor. It was understanding. The Zenari Confederation's Central Strategic Command was a marvel of biomechanical engineering. Located in the heart of the Cygnus Arm, the massive spherical structure resembled a complex neural network made of living metal and quantum crystalline processors. Admiral Krelak stood at the central command platform, his exoskeleton glistening under the pulsing quantum light arrays. Around him, holographic projections of Earth revealed what the Zenari considered a target of minimal resistance. Planetary conquest probability, he demanded of the central tactical eye. The holographic display shifted, revealing a series of complex algorithmic projections. Probability matrices cascaded in intricate patterns of blue and silver. Earth raises SDNC potential, 98.7%. DEFE 8 TPROBABILIT. Technological adaptation, RAT, minimal. Societal cohesion, INDEX. FRAGMENTED. TREDICTED conquest, duration. 72 standard chronological units. Senior strategist Vornak, a veteran of 17 planetary conquests, studied the data with multiple compound eyes. His neural implants parsed information at speeds that would overwhelm biological consciousness. The human technological infrastructure is primitive, Vornak reported. Multiple competing communication networks, inefficient energy distribution, localized conflict zones suggesting fundamental societal instability. The invasion plan was a masterpiece of calculated brutality. Multiple attack vectors would be deployed simultaneously. 1. Quantum disruption weapons, designed to instantaneously neutralize electronic communication systems. 2. Genetic warfare agents, tailored biological compounds to suppress human physiological resistance. 3. Biomechanical war machines, adaptive combat platforms capable of responding to multiple threat scenarios. 4. Psychological destabilization protocols, advanced mimetic warfare algorithms to create maximum social chaos. What the Zenari didn't realize was that each of these calculated strategies would become their ultimate weakness. The first wave would target critical infrastructure. Major population centers would be primary targets: New York, Beijing, Mumbai, London, Tokyo. The goal was not total destruction, but systematic paralysis. Disrupt communication, eliminate central command structures, prevent coordinated resistance. Vornak loaded the final invasion coordinates into the quantum navigation systems. Massive gravitational drives began charging, preparing to breach dimensional barriers and emerge directly above Earth's primary population centers. Estimated resistance duration, Admiral Krelak demanded. The tactical AI's response was instantaneous. Maximum projected human resistance, 6.3 standard chronological units. Complete planetary subjugation, 72 units. What they saw as a mathematical certainty was about to become their greatest miscalculation. In secret facilities around the globe, humanity was already moving. Military communication channels transformed into adaptive networks. Research laboratories became improvised defense centers. Universities redirected cutting-edge research toward potential defensive technologies. No single global authority coordinated this response. It emerged organically, like a complex adaptive system responding to an existential threat. Jack Thompson's network of former Special Forces operators, cybersecurity experts, and strategic analysts had been quietly preparing. Communication protocols were established. Contingency plans developed. A global resistance infrastructure that existed just beyond traditional detection. Emily Rodriguez and her team continued their quantum signal analysis. Each decoded fragment revealed more about the approaching threat. The communication protocols were complex, mathematical, but not incomprehensible. "They're treating this like a mathematical problem," she told Jack during one of their encrypted communications. "But war isn't mathematics. It's chaos." Aboard the Zenari invasion fleet, final preparations were completed. Quantum-slipped space drives charged. Biomechanical war machines locked into deployment configurations. Genetic warfare agents prepared for atmospheric release. Admiral Krelax allowed himself a moment of anticipated victory. 47 planetary systems had fallen to the Zenari Confederation. Earth would be their 48th conquest. What he didn't understand was that humanity's greatest strength had never been its technology. It was its capacity for unexpected adaptation. The invasion was coming. Humanity was ready. The first wave struck at 3:22 Greenwich Mean Time. Massive quantum disruption weapons carved through the skylines of major cities like ethereal scythes. In Los Angeles, a brilliant azure energy pulse sliced through downtown skyscrapers, momentarily turning night into an impossible day. Tokyo's technological heart erupted in cascading electromagnetic storms. Mumbai's streets transformed into a nightmare landscape of quantum-fractured reality. Maria Alvarez was working the night shift at a robotics lab in California when the first wave hit. A mechanical engineering student with an uncanny ability to see potential in broken systems, she watched in horrified fascination as the first Zenari war machines materialized above the campus. They were unlike anything humanity had ever conceived. Biomechanical monstrosities that seemed to exist in multiple dimensional states simultaneously. Fractal-like appendages shifted and reconfigured with impossible geometry. Energy weapons that could deconstruct matter at the molecular level. The Zenari expected panic. They anticipated collapse. Instead, they found resistance. In the first 6 minutes of the invasion, something extraordinary happened. Where other species would have crumbled, humans transformed. University labs became emergency research centers. Manufacturing plants retooled for weapon production. Civilian communication networks became adaptive combat information systems. Jack Thompson's global network snapped into action. Former military personnel, cybersecurity experts, and technology specialists who had been preparing for years now moved with practiced precision. Emergency communication protocols went live. Backup power systems activated. Distributed information networks began analyzing alien technology in real time. "We're not fighting a traditional war," Jack communicated through encrypted channels. "We're solving a complex, adaptive problem." In Tokyo, a team of aerospace engineers began reverse engineering captured Zenari drone technology within hours of the initial attack. What would take most species months of careful study was being parsed, understood, and repurposed in minutes. Maria Alvarez's contribution came unexpectedly. Using components from the robotics lab -3D printers, experimental drone control systems, and industrial electromagnetic shielding, she developed the first effective countermeasure against the Zenari's quantum disruption weapons. Her makeshift device didn't just block the energy pulses. It captured them, analyzed them, and began to develop a method of redirection. The Zenari had calculated human resistance based on traditional military models. Centralized command structures, rigid communication systems, predictable defensive strategies. They had fundamentally misunderstood the human species. In Mumbai, Priya Sharma's network of independent researchers began tracking Zenari communication frequencies. Within hours, they had developed initial quantum decryption protocols that began to break down the alien communication systems. Military responses were equally adaptive. Instead of traditional defensive formations, units began operating as fluid, decentralized networks. Communication became multi-layered, using everything from quantum-encrypted channels to repurposed civilian communication networks. Admiral Krelax watched in increasing confusion as his invasion models began to fail. Human resistance didn't follow any known strategic pattern. They weren't defending. They were transforming. Every Zenari weapon became a potential tool for human adaptation. Energy weapons were studied, understood, repurposed. Quantum communication systems were decoded, analyzed, transformed. Biomechanical war machines became subjects of rapid scientific investigation. The invasion was supposed to take 72 hours. By the end of the first 6 hours, the Zenari found themselves in a war unlike any they had ever experienced. Humanity wasn't just fighting. It was evolving. In secret research facilities, universities, abandoned factories, and makeshift laboratories across the planet, a fundamental truth was becoming clear. Humanity's greatest weapon was never its technology. It was its capacity to transform threat into opportunity. The real war was just beginning. The underground research facility beneath Stanford University looked nothing like a traditional laboratory. Converted lecture halls, machine shops, and experimental spaces had been transformed into a crucible of human innovation. Michael Chen stood at the center of a controlled chaos that would have terrified any traditional scientific institution. Captured Zenari technology lay dissected across multiple workstations. Quantum communication devices, energy weapon components, and biomechanical interface systems were pulled apart with a combination of scientific precision and raw human curiosity. "It's not about understanding their technology," Michael explained to his team. "It's about understanding the principles behind it." Rosa Hernandez had developed a breakthrough quantum decryption algorithm that was rewriting everything scientists thought they knew about communication technologies. What the Zenari considered unbreakable encryption was becoming a puzzle to be solved, not with brute force, but with creative insight. Across the globe, similar scenes were unfolding. In a converted semiconductor factory in Arizona, a team of engineers was repurposing alien energy weapon components into adaptive power generation systems. What was designed as a weapon of destruction was being transformed into a potential solution for global energy challenges. The Zenari had a fundamental misunderstanding about technological adaptation. They saw technology as a fixed system, a set of predetermined capabilities. Humans saw technology as a living, breathing organism, something to be questioned, challenged, and reimagined. Maria Alvarez's initial electromagnetic countermeasure had evolved into something far more sophisticated. Working with a team of quantum physicists and electrical engineers, she was developing an adaptive shielding technology that could not just block Zenari weapons, but learn from them. Every time they attack, she explained during a global research conference, we get smarter. The global research network was unlike anything the Zenari could comprehend. Traditional military-industrial complexes have been replaced by a fluid, adaptive system of collaboration. Universities, private research institutions, independent laboratories, and individual researchers shared information in real time. Jack Thompson's communication network played a crucial role. Former military communication experts worked alongside civilian researchers, creating a global problem-solving ecosystem that defied traditional hierarchical structures. In the first 48 hours of the invasion, humanity had done something unprecedented. They weren't just defending. They were transforming the very nature of the conflict. Michael Chen's team made a breakthrough that would change everything. By analyzing the quantum communication protocols of the Zenari weapon systems, they discovered something extraordinary. The alien technology operated on principles of quantum entanglement that were both more complex and more vulnerable than anyone had initially understood. "They're treating quantum communication like a mathematical equation," Michael explained. "We're treating it like a living language." The implications were staggering. Not only could humans begin to understand and counter Zenari technology, but they could potentially use these principles in ways the alien civilization had never conceived. A global network of researchers began developing what would later be called adaptive technological resonance systems, technologies that could learn, adapt, and transform in real time. Weapons that became tools, defensive systems that could evolve. Admiral Krelax received the first reports of human technological adaptation, and for the first time in his long military career, he felt something resembling fear. The invasion models were falling apart. Every Zenari weapon became a potential tool for human innovation. Every attack provided new data, new understanding, new opportunities for transformation. Quantum physicists in Beijing worked alongside electrical engineers in São Paulo. Cybersecurity experts in Tel Aviv collaborated with aerospace engineers in Cape Town. The boundaries between disciplines, between nations, between traditional ways of thinking dissolved. Humanity wasn't just resisting. It was reimagining the very concept of technological warfare. By the end of the first week, the Zenari would realize they hadn't just started a war. They had unleashed something far more dangerous. A species that didn't just adapt. A species that transformed. The digital battleground had no traditional front lines. A network of hackers, cybersecurity experts, and strategic communication specialists operated from locations scattered across the globe. They called themselves the Adaptive Response Collective, a name that meant nothing and everything. At the center of this digital maelstrom was a figure known only by the online handle Night Shift, a quantum cryptography expert whose true identity remained a mystery. Real name: David Rodriguez, a 32-year-old former NSA cryptanalyst who had long since gone off the grid. The Zenari had battle strategies mapped across thousands of planetary conquests. They understood tactical formations, technological superiority, resource management. What they could never predict was human unpredictability. Night Shift's first major operation began with something the Zenari would never comprehend: humor. Using a complex network of compromised alien communication channels, the collective began broadcasting seemingly nonsensical information. Memes, absurdist art, recursive mathematical puzzles that seemed to have no logical conclusion. Fragments of human cultural artifacts that defied straightforward interpretation. The Zenari tactical AI began to break down. Their communication systems, designed for pure logical interpretation, struggled to process the layers of human communication. Irony, sarcasm, cultural references that existed in multiple layers of meaning. What seemed like random noise was actually a sophisticated psychological warfare technique. In the Zenari command center, senior strategist Vornak watched in growing confusion as their predictive models began to collapse. Their communication is non-linear, he reported to Admiral Krelax. It does not follow any known strategic communication protocol. What the Zenari didn't understand was that this was intentional. Jack Thompson's global network had identified a crucial vulnerability in the alien communication systems. The Zenari processed information like a complex, but ultimately rigid computer system. Humans, by contrast, fought in spirals, in jokes, in layers of meaning that defied simple categorization. Every alien attempt to analyze human communication became a trap. Maria Alvarez's team had developed what they called cognitive dissonance generators, communication systems designed to overload the Zenari's analytical capabilities. These weren't traditional electronic warfare tools. They were psychological algorithms that introduced calculated uncertainty. In Tokyo, a team of linguists and communication specialists began developing communication protocols specifically designed to confuse the alien tactical systems. They incorporated elements of human communication that defied pure logical interpretation. Poetry, metaphor, cultural inside jokes that required complex contextual understanding. The global research network was transforming psychological warfare into an art form. Night Shift's team discovered something extraordinary. The more the Zenari tried to create predictive models of human behavior, the more those models became vulnerabilities. Each attempt to understand became a potential point of manipulation. They began introducing calculated inconsistencies, communication patterns that seemed to follow a logic, but would suddenly and deliberately break that logic. Tactical information that was 90% accurate, with deliberate introduced errors that would force the alien systems into increasingly complex verification loops. Admiral Krelax watched as their invasion models began to fragment. Humanity wasn't fighting a traditional war. They were solving a complex, adaptive problem that existed beyond the boundaries of traditional conflict. The psychological warfare went deeper. Global media networks began broadcasting a combination of factual information, deliberate misinformation, and cultural content that would take years to fully decode. News reports mixed with art. Scientific data intertwined with philosophical discussions. Military strategic information hidden within seemingly random cultural broadcasts. The Zenari tactical systems were designed to process information. They were not designed to process meaning. By the end of the first week, the alien invasion had transformed into something neither side had anticipated. It was no longer a conflict of weapons and technology. It was a battle of understanding itself. Humanity's greatest weapon was not its technology. It was its capacity to transform chaos into communication, to turn uncertainty into strategy. The facility was nothing like a traditional research center. Tucked away in the Arizona desert, it looked like a collection of converted shipping containers, solar arrays, and seemingly random technological infrastructure. To an outsider, it would appear chaotic. To those who understood, it was a testament to human collaborative potential. Dr. Elena Martinez stood at the central workstation, surrounded by a team that defied every traditional scientific hierarchy. A quantum physicist from MIT, a telecommunications engineer from Nairobi, a former semiconductor designer from Shenzhen, a software architect from Sao Paulo, a materials scientist from Mumbai. No single government funded this project. It emerged from a global network of researchers, technologists, and innovators who understood that the threat facing humanity transcended national boundaries. "We're not just building a weapon," Elena explained to the team. "We're creating a communication solution." The quantum entanglement weapon had begun as a theoretical concept. Captured Zenari communication technologies provided the initial breakthrough. But its true power came from something the alien civilization could never understand: human collaborative creativity. Michael Chen's quantum decryption algorithms provided the initial framework. Maria Alvarez's adaptive electromagnetic research offered crucial insights into signal manipulation. Jack Thompson's global communication network supplied real-time data on Zenari communication protocols. What made the weapon unique was its fundamental design philosophy. Where the Zenari created technologies for specific, rigid purposes, this team saw technology as a living, adaptive system. The core of the weapon was not a traditional energy generator or a quantum disruptor. It was a complex adaptive system that could simultaneously communicate, analyze, and neutralize alien communication networks. "Think of it like a universal translation device," explained Ahmed Kazmi, the telecommunications expert. "But instead of translating language, we're translating entire communication ecosystems." The components were a testament to human improvisational genius. Smartphone processors repurposed as quantum signal analyzers, industrial cooling systems transformed into quantum stabilization units, experimental particle accelerator components integrated into communication interface systems. Each team member brought something unique. Elena's quantum physics expertise provided the theoretical foundation. Michael's algorithmic insights created the adaptive communication framework. Maria's engineering background solved critical technical challenges. They were solving a problem that the Zenari considered impossible. Jack Thompson's global network played a crucial role. Former military communication experts, cybersecurity specialists, and independent researchers supplied critical pieces of intelligence. Every captured alien communication fragment, every technological component became a potential solution. The first full-scale test came unexpectedly. A Zenari communication drone entered Earth's atmosphere, attempting to establish a quantum communication link. Previous attempts had been met with electronic countermeasures or quantum disruption. This time would be different. The team's quantum entanglement weapon didn't just block the signal. It did something far more sophisticated. It engaged with the alien communication protocol, analyzing its structure in real time, creating a complex feedback loop that would simultaneously neutralize and understand the communication system. Elena watched the holographic displays, her breath caught in her throat. Lines of quantum communication data danced across the screens, revealing layers of complexity that would have been invisible to traditional analysis. The weapon wasn't just a defensive tool. It was a bridge of understanding. "We're not destroying their communication," Helena realized out loud. "We're learning how they think." The Zenari communication drone began to fragment, not through destruction, but through a process of quantum deconstruction that revealed its fundamental communication architecture. Senior strategist Vornak, monitoring from the Zenari command center, watched in growing horror as their most advanced communication technology was not just neutralized, but comprehensively understood. Humanity had done more than create a weapon. They had transformed the very nature of interstellar communication. The quantum moment had arrived. The final confrontation wasn't a traditional battle. It was a moment of profound communication. Admiral Krelak stood restrained in a specially designed containment chamber aboard the International Space Station. Around him, a diverse team of human experts, scientists, linguists, military strategists, and diplomats, prepared for a transmission that would echo across multiple star systems. Jack Thompson managed the communication protocols. Helena Martinez handled the quantum translation systems. Michael Chen oversaw the technological infrastructure. Maria Alvarez monitored the adaptive communication networks. The Zenari invasion fleet hung in Earth's orbit, disabled but not destroyed. Thousands of vessels, technological marvels that represented 47 previous planetary conquests, now rendered inert by humanity's most powerful weapon, understanding. "You chose battle," Emily Rodriguez began, her voice calm and precise. "Now learn your mistake." The transmission would be broadcast across multiple quantum communication channels, ensuring that not just the Zenari Confederation, but every civilization within communication range would witness humanity's response. The message was multilayered, not just a declaration of victory, but a comprehensive explanation of why the invasion had failed. Each layer revealed something different: scientific analysis, psychological insights, technological breakdowns. The Zenari had approached Earth as a mathematical problem to be solved, a planetary system to be conquered through technological superiority and strategic calculation. They had fundamentally misunderstood the nature of human potential. Humanity's strength was never about individual technological capabilities. It was about collective adaptation, the ability to transform threat into opportunity, to see potential where others saw only obstacles. Helena Martinez's quantum communication system translated not just words, but contextual meaning, cultural nuance, the complex layers of human communication that defied simple linear interpretation. Admiral Krelak watched in growing comprehension. The humans weren't just defeating the invasion. They were teaching a profound lesson about the nature of intelligence, adaptation, and collective potential. The transmission revealed how every Zenari weapon had been studied, understood, and ultimately transformed. Quantum disruption technologies became advanced communication systems. Biomechanical war machines provided insights into adaptive engineering. Genetic warfare agents contributed to medical research. Humanity had not just defended itself, it had grown. Jack Thompson's global network had tracked every moment of the invasion, not as a military operation, but as a complex, adaptive problem to be solved. Universities became research centers. Civilians became collaborators. Every technological encounter became an opportunity for understanding. "We are not victims," Emily continued. "We are opportunity incarnate." The message was clear. Technological superiority means nothing without the capacity for adaptation, creativity, and collective will. Maria Alvarez's team had developed technologies that would revolutionize multiple scientific fields: energy generation systems, communication protocols, adaptive engineering techniques. The invasion had become a catalyst for human innovation. Senior strategist Vornak, watching the transmission, began to understand the fundamental error in the Zenari's approach. They had seen conquest as a mathematical equation. Humanity saw it as a complex, adaptive conversation. As the transmission concluded, the final image was profound. Not of destruction, not of victory, but of collaboration. A holographic representation showing researchers from every continent, different ages, different backgrounds, working together, not as competitors, but as a single, interconnected system. The Zenari fleet began a systematic withdrawal, not in defeat, but in comprehension. They had encountered something unprecedented in their 47 planetary conquests. A species that didn't just survive, a species that transformed. In secret research facilities, universities, and research centers around the globe, humanity was already looking forward. The technologies developed during the invasion would solve challenges that had seemed insurmountable. Climate adaptation, energy generation, communication systems. The invasion was over. The real work was just beginning. Humanity's message to the universe was simple and profound. We are not just survivors. We are opportunity itself.